Kia ora guys, and welcome to another episode of Against the Grain, a little project I've been putting together through the month of Movember to catch up with friends and family and just take a chance to check in and maybe start a conversation about well-being and mental health in males. If you haven't done so already, head along to my Mo space. I'll leave the link in the description below. And if you're able to donate anything, then it'll be greatly appreciated. Otherwise, you can just see the progress of the Mo through the month. Today's guest is a longtime friend from school. I could go on and on talking about him. He is a great guy, always there for us. Was one of my groomsmen at my wedding. One of my best friends, it is Adam Hansen.
How we doing? All good?
Yeah, not too bad. How's things over there?
Yeah, good, man. Good. Weather's a bit up and down, as always in Auckland, but
Classic.
we do what we can. Getting the washing done, so it's all good.
Always good to get the washing done. And how's things with you, man?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been a weird year for sure, but keeping busy. You know, work's been busy and consistent. Some quiet periods, but like we're getting through and making some impact. You know, which is always good. Yeah,
and so, I guess, do you want to take a chance to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, my name's Adam, as always. I've been friends with Reese since high school, like, I don't know, pretty midway through. But yeah, I've had the pleasure of being one of his groomsmen at the wedding, which was a good time. And thank you again for that, Reese. It was always fun to, be a part of a big party like that. Yeah, Reese and I've gone back for a while. We've done music, we've done drama, we've done drinking, we've done partying, we've done all the fun stuff and all the stuff that counts as well, which is amazing. We do miss having you around here though, Reese.
Yeah, it's definitely been a bit of a homesick year this year.
I bet, man. I bet. Yeah, but luckily we have the power of technology to be able to do cool things like this,
Yeah, I found it. I think everyone's FaceTime time this year has probably increased by 1 million hours.
It's been good though. Like, I think obviously we can't see everybody all the time anymore, and there's people that I still haven't seen, like Jason, Kyle, and Ivan, and all those guys. They don't live in Auckland anymore, so it's been really weird to not be able to see them. But we've made the effort to really catch up over FaceTime and still keep that connection and that friendship going, which is, I guess, one of the amazing things about the social medias and all that kind of stuff.
For sure. And do you think this year has almost encouraged more of that, more of saying, hey, let's jump online, let's do a Zoom.
Yeah, I think so. It probably could have started a lot from a bit of boredom, let's be real. But it's also quite beneficial. Like you were saying earlier, you've made contact with people we haven't spoken to in years just because of like seeing that they're online or seeing that they've had something awesome pop up in their life and you just want to send them your love and the congratulations, or vice versa. If someone needs some help, you reach out and tell them that you're there,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so what is it you do?
I'm a store manager for Platypus Shoes on Queen Street. Moved around a bit over the years. I've been in the business. This will be my 5th Christmas.
Right.
A lot of retail Christmases, always fun for everybody. Come buy some shoes. But no, it's been an awesome ride. Like, I took a bit of a risk leaving my other job, taking it, but it's been nothing but beneficial, and I've met some awesome people. Made some lifelong friends as well that I know will be around for a long time, and of course got some pretty cool sneakers out of it too, which is always fun.
Always an added little bonus. You said you're a store manager. How have you found that? Are you leading a team? Do you lead just a couple of people, or how does that work?
Yeah, I have a team. I've got my myself, store manager, who's like in charge of the operations and stuff in Queen Street specifically. Obviously, there are multiple other store managers in Auckland and New Zealand, as well as Australia, actually. And then I've got my team under me. So I've got my assistant manager, who's wicked. She does her thing and helps me out as my right hand. Always fun. Then I've got my full-timer, and she's there all the time, 5 days a week, does her thing. And then I've got about 8 or 9 casual staff as well under that, and obviously a couple more coming in for Christmas too. So that's all go at the moment, training those guys and making sure we're ready for our fun Boxing Day and sale periods, But it's always beneficial. We always have a lot of fun. It seems stressful at the time, but trust me, we're enjoying it in our own way, So
sure. And is it is it important to you as their manager that your team's having fun, or
Oh,
is
100%. I
that
mean,
something you
it's
push?
not, yeah, like our magic and our vibe that we have in our stores is what we pride ourselves on, you know. We've got
Yeah.
the cool music playing, we don't have any uniforms or anything. We can kind of like express ourselves in our own ways with the way we dress and act. And I think from a customer point of view, like I used to be a customer for political shoes.
Hmm.
That's exactly what enticed me to try and jump in and be a part of that, you know?
Right. So it was
Yeah.
almost you saw that before you started. That culture was there with this
Yeah.
particular.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Like even people applying for jobs now, you ask them, you say, "Oh, why do you want to work here?" They're like, "Man, we just think it's so awesome. You guys
Right.
have the music playing. You guys seem like you're having a lot of fun. You seem passionate, and that when you hear those things, it just makes it all worth it. You know, yeah, it's work. You're gonna have stressful periods, and you're gonna have busy periods, and you're gonna have quiet periods. You know, but you just have to kind of roll with the punches and make the best of all the situations. You know."
For sure. And it must be nice to hear someone coming in from the outside to be like, I want to be a part of what you guys have here.
Oh, always like it's always what we pride ourselves in, and it's real humbling as well. And also when people will say, "Oh, what's your name? I'll give you some feedback to your bosses," or "Okay, who can I send an email to?" And just even that is enough to be like, "Oh, well, hey, you know, we're just here doing our job, but it's awesome that you think that you've had a wicked time here and that you want to come back because obviously, like most businesses, you want your repeat business, and if you leave them with a good imprint like that, they're
Hmm.
gonna come back. You know, it's what I always say to my team as well. Like even if we don't sell them something that day, 100% service all the time, they're gonna come back.
For sure. I think it's definitely a great thing. And I assume most businesses will want that, to push that. They want customers to return. Do you think that, I mean, it sounds like a fun time. It sounds like, like you said, when the work needs to be done, the work needs to be done. But it sounds like that, you're all there for each other uh, outside of I sell a shoe,
Yeah, yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, I try and do it my best. A lot of our managers do it, and people above myself as well. We do what we call health checks. You know, not
Okay.
necessarily like sickness or anything like that. Just come up and say, "How are you feeling today? Are you all good? See something's a bit off or whatever." You say, "You know, we're here. We're people. We're still people. We're not going to be 100% all the time." You know, and that's the unfortunate thing of the world at the moment, and it always has been. You know, um, but yeah, I like to when you work with closely with people, you learn their characteristics and how they are, if they're happy, if they're sad, and whatever. And if it's important to check in, but obviously not everybody wants to speak about it, so you got to respect that too. You know,
Right.
yeah.
And was this a thing when you started, or have you seen that come about since your time being there? Because it sounds like a great thing to take that time to just check in, not about sales, not about numbers, just about how are you going.
Yeah, pretty much. Like we always want to make sure everybody's happy. You know, that's as dumb as it sounds. That's what we want in life, and we constantly want to make sure that because realistically, if they're not going to be there, are they going to be the best version of themselves? You know what I mean? They might physically be
Yeah.
there, but if their mind could be somewhere else. I know I've had it, you know, like, and it's been tough, but you work through and you find the right people and if you trust, I guess, yeah, trust and friendship and sharing isn't for everybody, you know, and people handle it in very different ways. But as long as you figure that out or know vaguely how that person, I guess, reacts to certain things, it will make you the way you approach it differently or the way you
Yeah, and it's
reach out to
it's
them, you know?
interesting you say obviously not everyone is comfortable sharing, and I think people share in different ways as well.
Oh, for sure. Like, I mean, you look at musicians, you look at artists, you look at sports people, athletes, I should say, sorry.
Yeah.
They all have their release of their own way. Like for myself, it's always been music and like getting out there and doing what I can. Don't do it as much as I would like to, but I am working on that, you know. And then also just like catching up with the people that matter, you know,
Hmm.
reaching out, talking to the people that you maybe don't talk to every day or every week for that matter. And just making an effort, you know. People always ask me, like, you have so many people around you, how do you do that? I'm like, you just reach out, man. If you wanna be a part of someone's life, you make it happen, you know.
Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
100% agree with that. But if we just take it back a little bit, um, uh, how do you personally, um,
Hmm.
when things are maybe not going right or something, what's in your playbook of ways to deal with it? Obviously, it's different for every situation.
Yeah. I mean, yes, it is very different for every situation, but I think most recently, or in the last, if I've had a moment in the last few months, it's more, don't worry about the bigger picture so much and the things that are all up here that you can't really control. Pick one thing to focus on at that point, nail it 100% to the best that you can, and then move on to the next thing. That's probably more directed towards work.
Right. Okay.
So if I've got a task I want to do, I'll throw myself in it. I want to make this wall look amazing. I want to merge it and make it look really cool and tidy. So then I'll do everything in my power. One, in a like good pace and get it done in a good amount of time without like mucking around per se, and just like killing time. Get out there, get it done, and just throw yourself in 100% and be proud of what you've done.
Mm-hmm.
And that just takes your mind completely off all the negatives, and then you're like, yes, this is what I've achieved. I've done this. You know what I mean?
For sure. And I think I'm in a similar boat there where I do like to busy myself when I want to not maybe address that just yet, which is okay, I think, but it's obviously not a permanent thing
No,
to
it's
do.
not a permanent fix.
I was just going to say, if you move from work into more personal life, do you find you doing the same things? You tend to busy yourself, or
I try. Yeah, I try and fill my days. Don't get me wrong, I love a good day doing nothing. Everyone loves a good day doing nothing. But I like to get out there and catch up for coffee, go for a drink, have a meal. Like whatever it is, or go do something fun, go shopping, or go. I mean, things are a bit hard at the moment with the COVID, obviously. So it's made people think outside the box. What can we do? Like, well, let's go for a walk. Let's go have a gym session. Let's go play a board game. Something that you wouldn't usually do because other things are so accessible.
Yes.
But it's funny, as soon as like cafes and bars and restaurants and that start closing, you're like, okay, what do we do now? And I mean, the amount of people that I saw walking around in lockdown was awesome. People getting out of their house. Yeah, you might be sick of your house and just have a moment away from your family or whatever, but it's good to see people out there, and it seems like a lot of people have kept their motivation going outside of lockdown, and a lot of like new gym junkies and new like Fitspos and all that kind of stuff, which is awesome because it makes you feel better in a different way,
For sure.
Yeah.
I guess that brings around the looming question that is over everyone at the moment is how did you find this year? Have you been okay?
It's been a very interesting year, man. Like we've caught up a little bit over the time, and
For sure.
and I really like the lockdowns, to be honest. It was nice to have a bit of a breather from everyday life, and I did end up working a fair bit through lockdown.
Okay,
but I
sure.
created a new like structure, a new regime, and a new day-to-day life. There was a good week or two you kind of ride in the train and you're like, man, this is like a little bit holiday mode, and you're like, catch up on some sleep, do some late night gaming or whatever, things that you wouldn't usually do on a day before work. But for myself, it was kind of going a different way. I felt myself, I was maybe having a few too many beers every other day, or something like that. So I decided to restructure my days and still kind of stay up and get up whenever I wanted, because it was the beauty of that at that point. But the first thing I would do is get out of bed, make a coffee, go have some breakfast or something. Then I go do a lap of the local basin we got down the road here, and then I come and do a workout, and that kills a good chunk of the morning, afternoon, depending when you woke up.
Yeah, definitely.
But that became my regime, and then when I started going into work to do all the online orders and things like that, I would text my boss and say, hey, how many do we have? People are like 50. I'm like, cool, I need X amount of time to get that done. I'm gonna get my other stuff done, go into work for a little bit, do that, come home, and by the time it's done that, it's dinner time and doing it all again. So I managed to fill my time pretty well, and I actually came out the first big lockdown, I think, better mentally myself, because I was feeling better about myself, dropped a little bit of weight, dropped a little bit of like just negative stuff, and just focusing on myself for once in my life.
No, and I think that's it's an important thing to do, is focus on yourself. I'd say once in a while, but it should be all the time. But go on, sorry.
No, it's something that's come up a lot this year, not just for myself, but just talking to other people in the business and friends and family as well. Like ultimately, we are by ourselves most of the time. We fill our day with our people, our loved ones, and our families. But you're still waking up and going to sleep by yourself.
Yeah, and I don't think that's meant to be as a negative thing or a downer.
No,
I think
no,
it's
100% not.
It's
But
actually an important thing
people,
to solidify in that sentence, is that you are with you all the time.
Yeah, and you're the only person that can make your own decision.
For sure.
You can reach out for advice and feedback, but it's still going to come down to you.
Absolutely. And do you think, whether it be this year or if it's happened over time, that you've grown to know that more, or have there been certain things that have happened that have gone, no, you know what, I need to take care of myself in this situation?
I've had a few bumps in the road of my time, as you know, bro, like with family and friends and relationships and things like that. But each time has made me realize more and more that it's coming down to me a lot, and for lack of a better word, like, who cares what anybody else thinks? You're cool as hell the way you are, so why change it for someone else?
I think that's such an underrated statement of
Underrated as.
And in two ways, I think. I think it's a cliche thing to say. Who cares what other people think? Everyone's always going to say that. No matter what situation you're in. And you can look at it on surface level of, who cares if I wear a pink shirt and blue shorts and green shoes? Who cares if I wear my hair in a mohawk? But I think the important one is, who cares if you're into this kind of music and you want to play it in your car? It's definitely driven home this year, I think, with a lot of people, but also in the couple of years building up to this year, I've found it as well, is that you spend so much, or you end up spending so much energy on thinking what other people are thinking, when in reality, I mean, sure, just say, you went out this morning for coffee. What hairstyle did the waitress or waiter have? You don't remember. You weren't paying attention to that. So,
No.
They might have been sitting there in the morning going, oh, do I wear it up? Do I wear it down? What are the customers going to think? Without sounding harsh, they don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, like, I used to stress about stuff like that, being on the face of a business like where I work. You kind of have to think about that a little bit.
Of course.
Yeah, but ultimately, you can still express yourself in your own way, and like, you can wear whatever you want, and look whatever you want, as long as you feel good.
Yeah,
that's all that matters. Confidence is like so much of everything these days, and unfortunately, some people just don't have it, and you can only find it in your own way, whether you do something to find that confidence, or you build at it, or you ask for help. All very good options.
I'll jump on that there, because it's an interesting point that I find myself thinking about, is that I would say both you and I are maybe seen as outgoing people. We have friends, we like going parties and gatherings and all that stuff. But I feel like sometimes that gets lodged into the same category as, they know who they are and they're confident with themselves.
Yeah, like, I know what you mean, but that's not necessarily the case. There may be times where you and I have been at a party or whatever, and they're like, "Man, oh, these guys are here. They're cool. We're cool as, aren't we? Yo, yeah." Nah. But trust me, I was probably at home worrying about what I was wearing, or what I was doing, and who's going to be there. Who do I need to impress? Who do I need to avoid? But I mean, realistically, I want to go there and enjoy myself.
Yes.
And yeah, I might want to wear something that makes me feel a bit cool, a little bit different, just to be a little bit out there. But ultimately, the person inside is what matters.
For sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess that brings us nicely to, what do you think? What would be in your, I guess, arsenal or something? If you had to focus on yourself, are there things that you do that reset, if you need to reset or something like that? Like, for example, I do like going and seeing people, but I guess for me, it'd be taking the time to go for maybe a walk with no music, no headphones, and just take time for myself, kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. That's probably something I have picked up this year. Like something that helps me. Might not be just necessarily one thing, you know.
For sure. Yeah.
For example, like I really like taking myself away during lockdown to do those walks and those workouts because I might have had music going and all that kind of stuff, and but there was time for myself too, because even if you've got music going, you're still thinking and your brain's still on, and but for me, I was focusing on one thing. So again, it comes to, for me, I think to answer your question, I focus on one thing and try and achieve that into the best that I can.
Yeah.
Some of it's like a long-term thing, like trying to lose weight and just get a little bit more healthy and stuff like that. That was a long-term thing. I'm just not going to happen overnight. But something like, oh, I'm a bit anxious, I'm a bit nervous about this. What can I do in this moment to help me with this? There's different techniques and things that I've used that have been learned over the years from talking to other people and talking to friends and family as well. And even asked the doc at one point just how to, like, bring yourself down, and just level yourself out again, because I'm much more myself and who I am when I'm level,
Absolutely.
If there's stresses and things going on at work or whatever, my brain struggles to turn off sometimes. But that's what I'm coming. As I come home, I try and just do something for myself when I get home, catch up with my dad, catch up with my flatmates or whatever. It might be a distraction, I don't know, but it works sometimes, well, most of the time, honestly. There's breathing techniques, there's all sorts of stuff that you can try. It doesn't work for everyone, unfortunately.
No, I don't think it's a one answer for all.
It's about trying new things, and that in its own thing can be quite daunting. But if I can give any advice, is just give it a go. You never know what's going to happen.
Well, I'll just jump in on that point, if you don't mind us talking about it. You mentioned that you asked the doc, and then tying that in with that end thing you said about some things being daunting. Was that?
It was. I mean, we have this like, she'll be right mentality,
Absolutely.
In New Zealand and probably Australia as well. And don't get me wrong, that's an awesome mentality to have for the right people. It's all good, she'll be right. But if somebody's really struggling, for me, I was struggling to sleep because I couldn't turn my brain off because I was worried about work and worried about how we were going to get through the COVID and how we were going to make a impact in our own other way if we're not quite hitting the dollars or whatever,
Right.
So it was stressing me out a little bit. So I tried a bunch of things and it just wasn't really working. I tried making sure I went to bed at the right time, but no, still wide-eyed. Tried not having coffee, tried not having any sugars or anything like that, just anything that would stimulate your body, But no, it just wasn't happening. So that's ultimately why, because it was starting to affect like myself and who I was, and I didn't like it. And I was like, you know what? I need something to potentially help. I didn't know what it was.
Okay.
So I just went in for a checkup. Just general like health checkup, as you do. They always get things checked.
Yeah.
And I just asked the question. I was like, "Hey man, I'm struggling with sleep." And he starts asking questions. Oh, what's going on? Like, how's work? How's this? How's this? How's that? And then he helped me kind of found this thing. I was worried about like how they would react because, for lack of a better word, some people just want to push pills at you and stuff like that. But that's
by they, do you mean your doctor?
Oh, just like some doctors and some medical people, like they like to. I don't like to say it, but they like to push pills because it's like, that's what they do.
Right.
But if you find the right people and the right person, they can give you other techniques as well as, and kind of give you options, and you find something that works best for you. But ultimately, I am glad I asked the question.
Well, and that's great. And things have improved?
Yeah, 100%. I feel so much better. I'm a bit more stable. I'm a lot more stable in a lot of ways, coming into this busy period at work, that's going to be keep me very busy, but I'm not going to stress out about it. I'm just going to take each day as it comes and smash it out and do the best that we can do.
Right. And I mean, that's fantastic. That it's worked, and it's so nice to hear that it was as easy as going, hey, here's my concern, and I guess A, that you felt comfortable with the doctor you were seeing, and B, that it's not it might seem like a big hurdle, but it's great that you did, But I admire that because I know I've struggled with asking or saying something, and to just hear that all the response was okay, let's see if we can help. Not, oh no, you've got to go and see this person who you got to get. It wasn't all this round of swings and roundabouts. It was kind of like,
Yeah,
okay,
like
well, let's see.
I honestly thought I might have asked that question, then I would have had to go and talk to somebody else immediately, But
Right.
like my doctor, on that note, like you said that you trust him. Believe it or not, that was the first I ever met that guy.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So it wasn't actually my normal GP. I went to a different one, but yeah, he's amazing. So I would happily go see him now because that gave me even more, I guess, trust out the gate. Is that I just met this guy, but all he wanted to do was help me.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I guess leading up to that point, you said you were noticing you weren't sleeping, or you were stressing about work. Were you able to identify those things, that something was going wrong, or was it more of a
I
almost
think it was a bit of a build.
I don't want to say too
Yeah.
late, but were you able to be like, okay, work is causing me stress, therefore it's causing me not to sleep, I need to ask someone about this?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, it wasn't solely work. There was a lot of stuff going on throughout the whole year, and I think
Life.
it was kind of built up. Life just kind of built up,
2020.
2020 in a nutshell. It's tested a lot of people's patience and mental stability and things like that, and that's what the doctor said, that he had so many people ask the same questions, and like it's not a bad thing, and it's not uncommon, and that's why they want more chats about like mental health and how like important and how detrimental it could be as well, and we could be out here changing some people's lives just by saying, you good, bro? Like just having a conversation, man, over FaceTime or Zoom or over a coffee or a beer or whatever. Like having a chat is, I don't know about you guys, but I feel heaps better if I've had a yarn with someone I trust,
Yeah. And I think even there, just by listening those things, is what I've found this year is that, because we've had the 2 lockdowns. And so you had the first one where everyone was like, oh, yes, Zoom drinks, let's check in with each other, let's make sure everyone's all good, let's, sew our own masks and so on and so forth. And I mean, we've got our own one sitting on the bench, but
I need one that covers the beard.
second
That's
one,
my problem.
well, it's funny, the when we made ours, my one was made for when I had a full beard on my face, and then I shaved it off, and now it's too big.
This is why you don't shave, team. You keep your beards. All right.
That's the clear cut message we want to go across right now. But no, what I was saying is that came the second one, and suddenly none of that was there.
No, yeah.
It was kind of like, well, I guess we'll deal with this until it ends, which we don't know when it is.
Don't know when.
But what my point is bringing it around to it, is that sometimes it might not be a thing that I need to sit down at the desk, open my laptop, turn on my video call and have a conversation about. It might be just a flick a text, or even I've been playing a lot of online games on the PlayStation. But we don't jump on and go, oh, this week was really rough because XYZ. We go, cool, all right, moving around this corner. All right, you take the left side or something. And it's a distraction.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
we spend 4 or 5 hours playing, and it is still a catch up in a way.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, there was days in lockdown that I just had like house party or FaceTime calls on in the background while just having chats or talking to mates like that are in one room themselves as well, in their own bubble,
Right.
and just still catching up, and then hanging out with flatmates. Like we got a beauty of having quite a large house here, so we could either be on our own or hanging out with our flatties. So it was a good mix of good. Like I think I was very lucky with the people I had around and the accessibility of talking to people throughout our lockdowns. But I know that some people weren't so lucky, like with people they may not want to be with for a lockdown. Maybe they're in a house they've just moved into and they don't really know anyone, or they live on their own, or they live with just their kids, or whatever. And some people would have struggled and some people would have loved it. So there's the mix of the world,
And I think it's not even as black and white as that. And I know you didn't mean it like that, but I'm sure people have loved and struggled within the same 24 hours.
Well, one thing that like was really not interesting to me was that the first big lockdown here, I
Yep.
loved it. I had all the benefits and stuff like that. The second one was a bit tougher, even though it was shorter. I don't know if it was because it was so well. All of a sudden, we have another one, like,
Right.
or or was the fact that I had to work every day still. Not that I didn't mind doing that, but I didn't have my other structure that I had, you know.
Yep.
So it was a bit strange going into a shop just to do online orders and not deal with customers face to face and all that. So it was just I had to change my like work in a way. I was doing the same thing, but I had to approach it differently. You know, taking precautions, gloves, masks, all that kind of thing, cleaning
Yep.
all the surfaces, making sure everything's clean, make sure we're keeping ourselves safe as well as our customers that are coming to get stuff or sending stuff out or whatever. You know,
And it becomes
and a lot more thinking going involved. Yeah.
yeah, it becomes a different world of working. You take all those safety precautions, but and I think it's a big thing is you're not dealing with customers. And
Not dealing with
for,
customers.
I mean,
It was so weird.
8 hours of the day, you're usually greeting people, asking them what they are after. You're having these social
Yeah.
interactions, and to suddenly have that stripped away and go, well, I'm still working, but am I? Because I'm not
Yeah.
communicating. I'm not laughing at someone's joke. I'm not. I think that social stuff getting stripped away, and even we've still
Yeah.
got over here, masks are mandatory outside, and you take a second to think, hold on, I haven't actually seen someone's real face
Face. Yeah.
in months. And you go, oh, hold on, that's actually really weird. Sometimes you're sitting at a cafe and you see people walk past, and some people might be having a loud conversation, some people might be telling their kid off or something. It's you people watch kind of thing.
Mm,
But now it's just all
nothing. It's so
almost
weird.
monotonous.
Like I don't know if you guys heard, but we had another case in Queen Street or
Okay.
just near Queen Street on High Street. There was a case of someone a case that they found of COVID, but they haven't been able to trace where it came from. So it was a bit of a concern.
Sure.
So a little bit panic mode. Everyone's like, if you're in the CBD, please work from home, kind of thing. So as soon as that happened, I had to wear a mask at work that
Mhm.
next day because it was so last minute. Like, so we made it mandatory in the city to wear one just for safety reasons. But then I realized that, yeah, I was smiling at customers, but they probably had no idea,
Yeah.
because I had this thing over my face, and it was strange. I was realizing that I was laughing and having banter, but all you can see is eyes, and eyes can still be misleading. You know what I mean?
I think
So
I,
it's
I
really
saw a tweet or something, and it said everyone needs to watch America's Next Top Model this year so we can learn to smile with our eyes.
that's not a bad idea, to be honest. But it also like makes you be a bit more vocal. So when I was going for walks in lockdown, we weren't wearing masks per se, but we were
Right.
distancing. So, but you didn't want it to seem like you were trying to avoid someone just be like, oh, I don't want to be near them. It's more like we have to be away from each other. So you would be like, good morning or good afternoon. You would actually just greet them, and that's something that the culture has not, it's kind of fallen off in these bigger cities. No
I
one's
think
like
so.
really smiley walking around, like walking past someone. You only say hi if you know them, but if you go to like these small towns in New Zealand and probably Australia too, that every single person will say hello to you if you walk past them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I see it more in the elderly community. They're always up for, oh, hi, or thank you, or like, especially over the bridge where you had to kind of take time making space for people just to give that socially distancing.
Right.
How weird is that, by the way? People you so close with for years and you like have to be like, don't come near me.
Yeah, I think it was again, it was almost one of the two-parter things of, if you had to split this year into two parts. Is the first time it was like, well, all right, we'll stay 1.5 meters away from everyone. Like it's what everyone's doing. The second time it happened, it was like, actually, yeah, I actually don't want you to come over to deliver that parcel. I'll pick it up in a couple of weeks. Or it
Yeah.
started affecting. I don't think affecting friendships, but I definitely noticed it when someone might have suggested, well, should we just go and grab a takeaway coffee? And I was like, to be honest, no, I don't want to put myself out in that situation. It was hard to know what to say yes to and know what to say no to while still
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
keep social.
Do you
Um,
think that do you think it's because we realized how like real it was the second time round? The fact
I
that it
think
could
so.
come back that fast,
I think
Um,
so.
because the first one, yeah, you took your precautions, but like I was still getting coffees and stuff from the local, like support your local.
Absolutely.
Um, but then the second time around, I didn't want to go anywhere. Like I just kind of went straight to work, sanitized, clean, wait there, then left, and then sorted food and stuff at home. But like, it was surreal to that. It was just I can't remember what it was like in Melbourne for you guys, but we were all just chilling out, having a beer and that, and then all of a sudden, like, breaking news, level 3 tomorrow. Like, you're like, well, what the hell? Everything's been sweet for the last month. We had 101 days with no cases, and all of a sudden we were back to hundreds of cases, and it's like a movie, man. It's weird.
It is.
Queen Street is like a zombie apocalypse during the lockdown. It's eerie as nothing happening. Like,
it's crazy. And I mean, we had our second lockdown was big. I think we had 135.
Just come out of it,
135 days of the top lockdown or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And even at the end of it, you know, we reached 0 cases. It worked. 0 cases, 0 active cases, or whatever the numbers are. Don't quote me on that. But then it was like, oh, you're allowed to go out now. And everyone was like, okay.
Nah.
How about we just wait another day and then see how we feel. And then the next day it's like, okay, 2 days, 0 cases. And it's like, okay, but okay, I guess we can go and do this. Brady and I went to the shops the other day, and even going to the shops, you're like, should I be doing this? Or you kind of second guess yourself. So it'll be interesting to see how everything moves out of it. And whether we go back to normal or whether there is a new normal.
This could be the new normal, man. Like, there could be sanitizer stations in every shop. There could be, I don't know if you guys have QR codes, but we've got our QR code. Yeah, like that's just a normal thing now, you know, and it's I think it's going to be a new norm. Like, and obviously we've been out of our big lockdown a bit longer, and it's not abnormal to see plastic screens at the Countdown or a dairy or whatever. It's part of the norm now, and it's weird how it's developed, and we will probably have to deal with this for a long time, you know. It's not going to disappear. It's funny how everyone keeps talking about like it's going to end on December 31st. Like,
wait, 2021? Yeah,
2021 is my new year. Hey man, it's been a hell of a year so far, and I bet the curveballs haven't stopped yet.
Well, exactly. And do you think how does that sit with you? How does that?
It's made me realize. It's made me appreciate every single conversation, every single moment, every single coffee, every single thing. Don't stress about it too much. Like I said before, on Saturday night I had 0 plans, and all of a sudden I was out catching up with your brother and seeing some old mates, and it was a wicked night, you know.
Yeah.
The night before that I had no plans. Ended up at a bar with the friends at Newmarket for one drink. We're there for a couple of hours, and it was. Those are the best ones. The things you don't sit there and like plan. Let's do this. Let's have a big thing, because that could be taken away from you in a second, you know.
Yeah.
For many reasons, you could injure yourself. You could but you could be locked down. You could only be allowed 10 people in a room. You can't be like, I don't know about you, man, but I miss music festivals. Like,
yeah. Well, and even just jumping on that list is, you know, we moved countries, so obviously we don't get to hang out every weekend like we used to.
I mean, I was supposed to be with you guys, remember? In
That's
February.
right. That's right.
And I was looking forward to that for so long, and then that week of lockdown was like, sorry, mate, no go. And I was like, man. And
that was this year.
This day, that was doesn't seem that long. There were so many things I was supposed to do this year, fun things, and I know I can sit here and be like, oh, there were so many things I was supposed to do. I know there was so many things that everybody wanted to do, and lots of people had to make changes and adjustments. And I guess it's like, to go back to what you were saying, it's you gotta just roll with it, roll with the punches. You know, you can sit there and be like, oh, I wish I was in Melbourne right now, or I wish I was in Fiji, or just doing something fun. When why not go out, be in the sunshine in where you are, you know, go for a walk, go get a coffee, go have a nap, do whatever's going to make you feel good at that moment, you know.
I think it's a double thing. There is, do what you want in the moment. It comes back to that whole, you take care of yourself first, because you don't know when a 2020 is going to throw a curveball.
That's going to be a thing now in 2020. Like,
Oh, it definitely is. Our kids will be saying, "What did you do in 2020?" Nothing. I did nothing.
mainly just I slept a lot. I played a lot of games.
Um,
No, the outside world wasn't a thing.
no. What I was saying though is that it was absolutely gutting that your trip fell. It was literally the week of the announcement of lockdowns.
I was still gonna come over, but then I had to quarantine your way as well. So I was like, I
Yeah.
was only there for 10 days, had to quarantine for 14. So
Yeah.
like,
Um,
didn't make any sense, unfortunately.
But trips like those, and again, like you're right, it doesn't have to be an expensive trip, doesn't have to be a big trip, doesn't have to be overseas. But when there's things you want to do, grab them when you can. I think because
I mean, that just reminds me of when you probably heard level 3 was just Auckland.
right, yes,
So we were like in our own little four-walled like city. There were like police at our borders of Auckland City. You had to have a legitimate like
Yeah.
address of somewhere you lived or family members or something to leave the city. And to me, that was like a movie. Like I didn't try, obviously, I didn't know anywhere to go. But my assistant manager is from Palmy, so she was trying to get back down to her family, and she had to prove a lot of things and
Right.
for her to actually be able to leave the city. You know,
and that must have been tough. Having people outside of Auckland. A lot of people have asked us how we're doing over here in Melbourne, and there are good and bad days. But we're in different countries. It was already a mindset last year that we already are a 3-hour flight away. To come home, it would be plane tickets, it would be a holiday, we'd have to book a car maybe or whatever. But if you're in the same country, and what's Palmerston North, like 3-4 hours drive from Auckland?
Yeah.
And to be like, no,
Crazy.
you're not allowed out unless
Can't
you've
leave.
got these reasons, that would have, I think, it would have weighed heavy on a lot of people.
That weekend, when that happened, me and my brothers and my dad were supposed to be in the Coromandel just celebrating my dad's birthday, but we couldn't even do that. And I mean, that was gutting because big birthday for dad, and he turned 70.
The big 7-0.
Big 7-0. But it was so hard for me and my brothers and my dad to all get in a room these days, let alone a holiday away, So it was really, and now it's looking like we can't do it until like February.
Right.
Because they're busy. I'm about to be really busy. My brother's baseball stuff's about to kick off potentially. I don't like, but again, we don't know. Like it might not, because of 2020.
Big one.
But yeah, I mean, roll with it, man. Like today's my day off. You said let's catch up. Let's do it. If you can make it happen, do something.
I think if you want something to happen, then you make it happen. Whether it involve a lot of planning, whether it be a spontaneous trip to somewhere, or not. Sorry, I don't mean trip, but like a spontaneous catch-up coffee or something. I think if you want something, then you make it happen. It's up to you to make it happen.
I mean, as cliche as it sounds, you hear it all the time. What you're doing will only be what you make it.
For sure.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely makes sense. But it is what it is.
It is what it is. This is the quote of 2020, I think.
I think that'll be sloganed everywhere in years to come.
Speaking of slogans, the amount of slogans that have changed because of 2020. I think KFC had to change their slogan.
Oh, really? I didn't hear about this.
Oh, I don't know if they officially did it, but they wanted to tell people to stop licking their fingers.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So topical things that have more of a meaning now.
Well, I don't know if it's true, but what I heard is that they were going from finger licking good to their quote was just going to be just good.
Just good. Just good.
It's not a bad quote. Honestly, it's not a bad quote. So good on you if that's the thing. But so much has changed. Like no spectators at sports. How weird is that?
Yeah.
The baseball that we're watching the MLB, and in the end they started playing audio of crowds.
Yes.
Because it was just so quiet, and then you get the people with you pay for a photo to be in the crowd, so it looks like a crowd. That was like people adapting, and changing the way of their life. I don't know about you or other players. I would struggle if I was used to playing a game or sports with a crowd. That's going to change. It's going to feel like a training. It's going to feel like not a real game. So maybe that's why they did it. Who knows? But it was just really interesting to watch. But I know that everybody loved when the All Blacks were able to play a couple weeks back. And And I drove through Kingsland that day actually, and it was just like pumping with people, and it was just so nice to see. Like, yeah, I was stuck in traffic, but I was like, you know what, these people are out, and we're out, and we're doing stuff finally. You know what I mean?
If anything, it's a nice distraction from being in traffic.
Yeah, yeah. I picked the wrong day to drive through that time, but like, it was nice to see people's faces. You know what I mean? Like, because we got masks around, but they're not mandatory here yet.
Right.
But because of this other stuff, there are chats about it. So
Yeah.
I reckon even my doctor was saying that he said it's probably not going to be a bad idea. Like, the Asian countries do it for a fair bit for either pollution or sicknesses, but I mean, you make them fashionable. Like, what colors you want? Purple, eh?
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can have some cool ones. I know we sell some cool ones at work. Like they're nice, and Star Wars ones, all sorts of stuff. And like it's a good way to still be yourself. You don't have to wear like a surgical mask the whole time.
Yeah. Make the most of it, and again, it is what it is.
Just waiting for some beard companies to make a cool big beard one. I'm sure somebody's working on it.
Exactly. Well, if
those coming along nicely, bro. By the way.
Oh, thank you. It's it doesn't come out well on camera, but
yeah. Well, I've had that issue since day one. I can't grow a mo.
It's not so bad.
But I make up for it, and
no, I think I'll bring it back eventually. But no, I was going to say we'll probably wrap it up there.
Yeah, easy, bro.
Thanks heaps for.
No, thank you for inviting me to be a part of your. What are we calling this?
Well, it's podcast, it's a video, it's kind of
a blog, whatever you call it.
Just a thing that's existing. It is what it is.
Just a couple of bros having some yarns,
Yeah, which I think is important. I think
so important. Like,
go on.
I don't like. To be fair, we probably don't speak enough. Honestly, Reese, we should definitely work on that. But I know that you're always there in the background, and I do appreciate everything you do for us. And this is awesome. Like, it's cool to see some of the other cool cats in your life, and see what they're up to, and catching up with people we don't really see every day or talk to every day.
Yeah, it's been I've really enjoyed it, and it's been helpful for me as well. I'm hearing their stories and your stories and stuff like that. But that's the thing, is it's reconnecting, it's strengthening connections, and it's also putting the content out there for other people to, whether they get inspired, whether they enjoy it, whether they get something from it, or whether they don't get something from it. And maybe it's another channel to block on YouTube. I don't know.
I'm sure you want everybody blocking you, Reese. No,
I was going to say, thanks for coming along. And for those watching, if you want to head along to the Mo space, feel free, and any donations are greatly appreciated. But until next time,
get amongst it, Tim.
Get amongst it. It is what it is. It's good.
It is what it is. Hashtag 2020.
Oh gosh. All right, catch you later, man.
See you, bro. Have a good one, eh?